T black jewelry. I know I stand out, I don't need to try for it. I jack the limelight if you don't think ahead quick. I tell them catch me if you can, I'm some gingerbread. Oh, I never ride solo. It's me and my chick looking like slow-mo.
Yo, guys, what's going on? This is Vince down here in Tampa. As usual, I have a distinguished guest on today. I have Lieutenant General Leslie Smith, retired 1 each Army. Leslie, hi, sir. How are you doing today?
Hey, Vince. Good to see you, brother.
All right,
BG,
so he is
1 each retired, Georgia Southern graduate.
right there. That I was about to say. So
Yeah.
He is very distinguished, man. He is a Georgia Southern graduate. Go Eagles. He is also he has a master's from Central Michigan University and the National Defense University. But he's married and has 2 daughters. But we are here to talk about his new book because he is now an author. Sir, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm fired up. Today, guess what? Guess what today is?
What is today?
Today is launch day, of publication day, as they say, but I call it launch or deployment day. Today is the day the book comes out. 14th of July. Yeah. You didn't know that, did you? Oh, thanks for putting that up there. That's cool.
Sir. Hey, I got to represent, sir. I got to represent. You know, you put this book together, and then I read some of the background, and then I read through it, and it talks about, and you use the term all the differences. So why did you come up with the title All the Differences?
Yeah, it's all the difference. It's very interesting because what happened was initially we were talking about strife to strength.
Okay.
We got together about 4 years ago, but it didn't resonate. And then when you pitch a book, and we pitched this book to a lot of people, Harvard Business Review, you got to give them a shout out to. Harvard Business Review selected us for this, and then they helped us with the new title. But think about it. You know the term all the difference? It comes from a poem. Do you know what it is?
I'm all ears.
It's about Robert Frost, right?
Oh.
Two roads converge.
That's right.
And I took the road that was less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. And when we put those two together, it was like, wow. And so that's how we came out with all the difference. So it's pretty cool. But as we jump into the book, you'll see the military interactions on the metaphors that come from it, because we think all the difference, as you and I have done, we don't get a chance to pick who we get. We get who we get, and the leaders who know how to make the difference are successful in what they do, right?
Yeah, you were absolutely successful, and you have over 30 plus years of service. Thank you for your service.
Yeah,
and the one thing is you laid out some framework of there's 6 kind of leadership core traits that you have to talk to. Say again.
Target action, sir.
Target actions. That's correct. So which one do you think out of all those core target actions do you believe that is the most critical for a leader?
I think it is know you. Can I talk about the target actions, then jump into know you first?
Yeah, hey, absolutely. Hey, we're here to talk about your book. Okay. So let's go.
So really the framework is about bridging perspectives, strengthening teams, and creating value. In order to do that, you got to go through these target actions. We think they're sequential by nature. The first one is know you, right? That's another famous quote. Know thyself, right?
That's right.
If you know who you are, you know what things drive you crazy. You know what things that set you off. Setting the conditions to make things happen is important. And after you know yourself, you jump into the next target action, which is called returning to respect. Because, people are going to set you off sometime, but in order for you to get to that value, you got to return to respect. And those are the first 2 that are there. I know you want to ask some questions. I won't just describe them all.
No, I know. You go through them all. Go through. We're good.
Okay. All right. So then after you return to respect, you got to activate honesty. Talk about what's hard, and interspersed throughout this is not just us 3 authors. It is all of us, those 22 people that presenting with us, 22 contributors from all over business, industry, military, academia, across the board, that share their stories. And that's the power, I think, of the book, of showing what that is. Because it's not just us 3. Activating honesty. I got a great story about that one, about we have furloughs in the military sometimes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think
more now than what we
twice.
So I'm the CG of Fort Leonard Wood, and we're about to have to furlough 2,000 civilian employees.
Right.
That was a no fun time frame. Some of my peers, I won't call any names, chose to allow other people to do that for them, like the CHRO or the deputy. I said, no, the commanding general needs to be the person up there to tell what they know and be honest about what it was. Transparency, that's right. And activating that, being honest with people is so important. But I knew as a leader that I could handle that. You know, another leader might be able to say, no, I really don't think that's me. And so it probably makes sense for them to do that. And so as you can see, those three build upon each other. And then number 4 is see the story. You know, you and I were at Georgia Southern at different times, but we have a same story of what it means to be part of the Eagle Nation, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Be part of something bigger than ourselves, both of us being in the military too. And then it's important for us to recognize, just like we talked before we started the show, about knowing each other's viewpoints about what they do. You know, you got a great story. I got a great story. We've been blessed to be where we are. And once we do that, we ignite togetherness by showing the example and then finally committing to action. The rest of the target actions don't matter if you don't ever take any actions associated with it. So it's really important to do that, and taking all the things you learn and taking the action to create that value. And really, we're talking about dollars. You know, for your listeners, what would happen if you could increase the value of your company by 10%?
Oh, yeah.
20%. But just by recognizing the differences in people as a positive versus negative.
Oh, I agree. Human capital matters, and how that translates into dollars in the corporate world. And that was a great segue to the question I would like to ask you is,
sure,
as you wrote this book, how did you translate that military mindset? Because, you know, everything's data driven in the military to what your quota numbers are, but translate that now into the civilian world as the ASAU vice president and all those other accolades and boards you sit on now. And the business department that you work with at Georgia. How do you translate that to, you know, to help them understand how to shape the future to make that financial gain?
Yeah. AUSA. Association United States Army. Yeah, AUSA.
That's right, ASUSA.
And so at AUSA, we're about educating, informing, and connecting. But you got to be able to take what you learn in the military about strategy, about policy, about risk, about how you build trust in organizations, and correlate that to what you see in business. So what value does AUSA brings to industry? What value does it bring to academia? It's the convening place. We bring people together to solve the problems or talk about the problems that the Army wants to talk about, to talk what industry wants to talk about. And it's important that we leverage those things across the board. So we have 3 vice presidents. I'm the vice president for leadership and education here at the association. And that's important because if you teach people how to lead, they can create that value that's needed.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. So you're bridging perspectives, and that's what part I take from that. And so as you emphasize bridging perspectives, what is a moment in your own career that you saw where you either failed or were successful at bridging a perspective?
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, it's a story from, you know, being a captain way back in the day. And, you know, I was in the 82nd, we're in the desert. And the guy said, hey, I don't know. I've never met a guy like you. I'm like, okay, I don't know how to take that, but my job is to help you see that we're all supposed to be successful in what we want to do. And, you know, some of your listeners may think it was about the color of your skin. No, it wasn't. I was a chemical officer in an air defense, in an airborne field artillery unit. So he didn't know what to do with a chemical officer who was squared away. Right. So I was like, okay, so my job is to help square you away there, young trooper. And then as you go up through ranks, guys are like, wow, I didn't realize that you're going to get to that rank. But it's about all the difference because those guys showed me how to do the things I need to do operationally so I could take that to what I did in my field. And as you know, as you make general officer, you become a generalist to do the things that are there. So bridging those perspectives are important because you got to take the time to understand other people in order to see it from their viewpoint.
So, you know, how often did you think that you had to kind of make sure that everybody understood that you were an SME, because, you know, we came in at a different time when the United States was integrated. So, I mean, over your time, you become more of an SME. What did you do to improve yourself personally?
Yeah, every day. I had, great leaders from my high school junior ROTC instructor to my college instructor. And I'll talk about the high school, our junior ROTC instructor. He said, "Hey, Cadet Smith, what do you want to do?" And this is the June of the year that I graduated, 1981, from Frederick Douglass High School. Go Astros in Atlanta. I got to give everybody a shout out. But I didn't know. And so he says, "Have you ever thought about the Georgia National Guard or the Reserves?" I didn't know. So I went over there and signed up and did that. And I went to visit Georgia Southern when it was 6,000 students. I think you were there initially, but it was small.
That was it.
That was it. And then now it's what, 32,000.
Oh yeah. That's not even recognizable. So are you the first person in your family in the military?
No. I am not. That's a great story. So my dad was a Korean War vet. His brothers were World War II vets. I have a picture of one of his brothers in the 11th Airborne uniform. And I used to see it as a kid growing up. I was like, I want to do that. But my dad died when I was 5. So I didn't. Yeah, that's okay. It was tough for the family, but I always knew who I was supposed to be, because my village, that's the next book coming out whenever I get that done. My village always said, "Hey, Leslie," as they called me growing up, "these are the expectations from you." So every summer, we're from Atlanta. Every summer we would go to Columbus, Mississippi, or Mount Bayou, Mississippi. And my dad's side were from Mount Bayou, Mississippi. And those 6 boys and 4 girls would say, "Hey, these are the expectations that are set for you." I have an uncle, he's past Joseph Smith, who was a dean at Auckland State, math and physics. Right. Yeah. I have another who's an entrepreneur. He's past Smitty Snack Shack in Mount Bayou, Mississippi. Oh yeah, man. So learn about business. Smitty. I mean, that's what they used to call me. Back in the day, they called him Smitty, and I was like Little Smitty. Yeah, and it was interesting because you can only be what you can see. Right. And taking that forward to be a subject matter expert, every day we have a responsibility to get better in what we do, and it's not just for us; it's everybody that's within our orbit.
That's great.
So I'm on LinkedIn. I'm looking at business things all the time. I'm discussing what's important when it comes to industry, when it comes to the military, because those are all things that are important to what we need to do. And I learned that early. I learned that at Georgia Southern. I mean, ROTC instructor, William Saunders. I don't know if Sergeant Saunders was there when you were there. I think he left.
Was there.
Was he there?
No, he may have. Yeah, I think he was going out, and then Heard was coming in.
Okay, so William, Mr. Muscle, right? 5'5", maybe. That guy used to, with boots on, right? That guy used to scare me but here's the story he told me. He said, "If you listen to me, I'm going to make you a good lieutenant." And we asked him why. Because his lieutenant got a lot of his soldiers killed in Vietnam.
Right.
Yeah. And so you know how hard he was. And so all we did was listen, because you know what happens in college, right? Yeah, you can be there. Yeah, you can be there, but not really. We were focused on taking care of the task and doing the missions across the board.
Yeah, I explain that to my daughter all the time. I said, "You just don't realize how locked in I was at ROTC."
Yeah.
Honestly, it gave me a lot of guidance. And so you're talking about the village, which is the strengthening of the team. So from your aspect of strengthening the team in high pressure environments, what are some of the key things that you feel that's important for a leader to have?
Yeah, I think it's about the reps and sets, right? When I was talking to the Surgeon General, Mary Izagari, we were talking about physical training. Physical training can be perceived as it's only one thing that you need to do. But what it really is, it's the preparation for what you got to do in the future. Right. A leader's responsibility is to be out there and be seen, and not only be seen, but to engage. As a CG of Fort Leonard Wood, I used to love, going around to different places to see companies doing PT, but not just to see them do PT. Sit down afterwards and have coffee with the drill sergeants, with the first sergeant. And they're like, "Why are you here, sir?" "I have no agenda. I'm just having coffee with you." But of course, you know what happens, right? Right. Everything comes up. Everything comes up. And that's how you can affect the change, right? To what you need to do across the board. And that's what we as leaders are supposed to do. We're supposed to make the change. And it was funny, I got all these stories up here in DC. You know what this is. It's called slugging, right? You pick up 2 other people that get in your car. And they're like, "What? You don't know them?" But you kind of do know them. Just yesterday, going home, this guy got in the car with his daughter, and he was a guy that I had talked to at the pre-command course. And this is over 6 years ago now. I'm sure it's over 5+ years ago now. He says, "I remember you talked about making a difference for a soldier in your organization." That's what leaders do. Think about that. That's very interesting. That's what we're supposed to do. And that's what all the difference is about. Once you know, it's your responsibility to help make the change that's needed there.
So your comment you just made resonates with Colin Powell's statement, which has always stayed with me, is that when people stop bringing you problems, you're not leading.
Yeah, that's right.
So how do you define the value in leadership? So when you look at leaders or yourself, how do you define that word value? Because I think value is a big piece of a quality of a person being a leader.
Yeah. I think will the organization be better once I leave? But it's not just me being the leader. How many people have I developed as leaders to replace me right now and in the future? Right?
Yes.
That's what all the difference is all about. Because you get a chance. And again, that same guy, he's commanded a battalion. He made a choice not to command at the brigade level. I'm good with it because he thought through the process of what he needed to do for his family and himself. But he went through the process of executing that across the board. But our job is to set the conditions for other people just like us to do that. I got to tell you this story real quick. So it wasn't just a Mississippi. Growing up in Atlanta, it was the mecca of what success looked like. So my first job in Atlanta came from a deacon. His name is William Thomas. He still got a big afro like this.
Okay. So it wasn't Reverend Ike, huh?
No, it wasn't Reverend Ike. William Thomas, and he had his own cleaning service. And he used to clean buildings at night. So think about this. 14 years old on a Friday night and a Saturday night, we'll be cleaning businesses at night. So he was, and I learned some things. I could have learned so many other things, but it's about how you take care of your customer, how things are done the right way. When you saw him on Sundays, he'd have on a nice suit and everything, but we saw him on Fridays, we would be like getting dirty. But he was the first guy that I saw that was able to retire. Think about that.
Oh, wow.
Before he was in 50. Yeah. And so I was like, wow, I want to grow up and be like this one day. And so that's always been in my mind. And oh, by the way, in military, it is a profit and loss. How do you keep your soldiers safe? How do you create that value across the board? And like I've seen, the differences that good leaders versus not so good leaders make.
Yes. I think Master Sergeant Kalo gave me the best term when I was a captain. He says, if you're walking down the street 20 years later and a soldier's walking on the opposite side, if they run across traffic, they shake your hand, you were a good leader. If they keep walking, you might as well think about what kind of leader you were when you were in those positions.
If they knew you, or they turn around and walk the other way. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. He says that's your gauge. After going through your book and reading the cliff notes that you guys had kind of sent me, you were a commander multiple times like myself. Mm-hmm. What did you forge from being a commander that you put into that book? As you shaped your portion of the book.
Yeah, I think leadership, being a commander, sets the conditions for success for everyone around you. You are, as we talk about in the book, you bring the weather. So the leader's responsible setting the conditions, as we talk about mission command, the vision, direction, and guidance. and then helping to coach people. Funny, here at AUSA, I've given all my directors a copy of the book. I signed it, and after we have our update, we spend about 20 minutes talking about a chapter of the book.
Right.
Because not only do I want them to be ready when we got a teacher train at the end of the month here at the headquarters. And for your listeners, if you're not a member of the Association of the United States Army, you should be. You can go to ausa.org and sign up today.
You got that picture there.
I gotta get behind me too. And so that's what the leader does. They set the conditions for success for not only you, but everyone else around you. And that includes your family, right? So,
right.
So this thing about the village is important. I was shown that as a village. So my oldest daughter has her own advertising business. We'll talk about that after off the net. And then my youngest daughter is an Army doctor. But
great.
Yeah, both of them are doing very good. We set the conditions, and our spouses are so much smarter than we are. We just show up and
that's right. Okay. They handle the fort.
Whatever
down.
You say. Yeah, whatever you say. Yeah.
And so when you look at cross-cultural leadership and
Mm-hmm.
you do kind of address it in your book, how do you stand back now as we've gone through different phases in the last 20 years? How do you kind of balance cross-cultural leadership to help teams understand it's a global team, not a monochrome team?
Yeah, I think the thing is interesting. So I haven't talked about co-authors, but they're great. Susan MacKenty Brady, she's the CEO of the Simmons Institute up in Boston, and Stu Kliman, she is doing great things associated. He's doing great things associated with. He started on the team that was a book, Get the Yes, the Harvard Negotiation Project, and has been CEO of a company called Vantage Part, managing partner. So he's doing a lot of different things across the board from there. I think we're a perfect example of what that looks like. We're completely different, but we have the ability to take those differences to strengthen those teams, to bridge those perspectives and create value. What it starts with is just listening to other people. So can I give you an example from the book?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So one of our presenters, one of our co-contributors his name is Reggie Fields Ames. He's the former president and COO of Nintendo of America. So you remember when the Nintendo Wii came out, right?
Yes.
You remember that, right?
Where everybody's playing tennis, boxing.
Right? Yeah. But guess what? The Japan version of that launch just came with the console itself. The US version came out with the game. There was a lot of debate and discussion because that was not the normal practice. So he took 6 months to bridge those perspectives, to strengthen the teams. At the end of the day, when he launched in America and in Europe, they sold $180 million worth of Nintendo, the best launch ever, because they coupled
I got mine in the office. I got mine, and I'll actually sit here in the office.
You sitting right there? You play it on breaks?
No, I don't even have it hooked up, but the pad, everything is sitting right there. It's crazy that you said that.
But it takes a leader, right? To help bridge those perspectives, to create value for not only Nintendo USA, but Nintendo worldwide, to set the conditions for success in the future.
All right. What is one of the rapid decisions you've had to make that's aligned with your six leadership actions? So from a standpoint of a rapid decision making, how is one of them aligned to your leadership actions?
Yeah. I think I have several, but I'll give you one. But I was a battalion commander at Fort Polk, Louisiana, and since September 11th, we just upcoming the 25th year, but we were deploying people all over the place. Across the world, doing a lot of different things, from Djibouti, Jordan, Saudi Arabia. We're at the World Cup, a little bit of chemical unit. But one of the decisions that we had to make was we were supposed to come to the Pentagon. And because remember the anthrax issues, the anthrax concerns that were?
Yeah,
absolutely. The unit who was around the Pentagon was my battalion.
Wow, I did not know that.
The one that the little systems, that the biodetection systems that were each one of the corners, that was my battalion. One of the companies from my battalion. Yeah. And so they said, hey, won't be a problem. You can release your soldiers. But we had set the conditions. Remember, we talked about you prepare yourself for what you got to do in the future by making the reps and sets across the board before you have to do it. So that's everything correct. That we did, Vince, was we turned letters of instructions into operations orders. We turned the maintenance plan into an operations order. So we would issue an order for what was the maintenance plan for the week. And this is even before we knew September 11th was happening, because I had one of my mentors say, hey, operationalize everything you do. So I got the maintenance warrant putting out a frago to the weekly order that says, this is what the maintenance plan is for the week. Right.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And so then company commanders had the back brief. Was like, I understand my mission. And then, oh, by the way, but at the end of the week, if it wasn't completed, we released the soldiers, and the officers and senior NCOs stayed and fixed it.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah, it is very impressive. Yeah, very impressive. And so, you know how our maintenance days, sometimes people participate.
Right.
Everybody was in the motor pool. That's why I conducted my Monday mornings. Our Monday morning stand-up was there. All my meetings that I had to do, you want to see me? I'm in the motor pool.
Motor pool.
Never forget the first day. That's right when we were starting to get laptops and phones and everything else. My 3 tried to escape. I'm like, 3, where you going? I got work to do. I said, don't you have a headquarters 3? I was like, well, who's responsible for that vehicle? My driver. Like, no, you are. Go get to your vehicle. And so once we got that done. But anyway, I'm telling you all that because after we released the soldiers, about an hour later, we got called back and says, can you be up in Alexandria Airport in 4 hours? We're going to have 5 C5s ready for you to come up to DC. Think about that.
Yeah.
But we had given them guidance. Ready. You had to be mission ready, right? We brought the soldiers back. We lowballed the line haul the vehicles up there. We flying into DC to Andrews in the middle of the night. We get there at 2:00 in the morning. And I was just stationed there. Yeah, I was just stationed there. And the Pentagon today is not like what it used to be. And so they were trying to figure out who's going to defend the Pentagon. That's when the 82nd came up. Now, that's a whole nother story.
Yes.
That's about knowing who you are, activating the honesty, and then committing to action. But you don't commit to action when you got to. You got to do it ahead of time to set the conditions for your people so they understand the expectations across the board.
You know, I think a lot of leaders, when I was in the military, and I used in the reserves, is really bad about this, even though I was full time, is that me and several generals, General Peggy, when I was working for him in Germany, had these different discussions. And I think some people just don't prepare for what may happen, and they don't see down the road. They're dealing with what's currently in front of them. Yeah. And I think the advantage I had was I was always a forward thinker on what was going to happen down the road, and it kind of worked in my favor down the road. So, you know, you work in multiple organizations, and in your book, this is a perfect segue to address. We have 4 different generations right now, regardless if you work in corporate, regardless if you're working in the military, you're dealing with millennials, you're dealing with Gen Z, you're dealing with Gen Alpha, you're dealing with Gen Xers, and some baby boomers who are hanging on. Yeah. And so you got 5 different generations. How do you address those generational gaps? Because believe it or not, they actually become challenges in some organizations, because what's the magic saying back in the day? This is the way we've always done it. This is the way we're going to continue.
That doesn't work. I think it's about listening. It's about hearing. And, you know, if you take it back to the target action, one of them is about staying curious, to see somebody else's viewpoint, right? That's how you help see the story, is by being curious about somebody, about going beyond you and I grew up doing this, knowing the birthdays and anniversaries of your people, right? But you got to take the next step associated from there. Like, okay, I don't understand this. How can you help me do this? I mean, artificial intelligence, Susan does a great job of this. Artificial intelligence will always agree with you, because it wants you to keep having a
Coming
conversation.
back.
Right.
Right.
But that's not what you want. You want to take the artificial intelligence and actually ask somebody, say, tell me what you think. How is this gonna reach the people across the board? And it's important that we take each one of those generations to have a conversation about how we can help us get better, because everybody's got a different viewpoint. You should never delegate or relegate somebody to a point of irrelevance or unimportance, because that could be the answer to your suggestion. And that kind of ties into the landmines. I know we're going to get into those in a second.
Yeah, because we're going to talk about groupthink and landmine.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Let's dive into it.
Yeah. So, the funny thing about it is, if you think about this as a road and the target, or you're shooting on a range and the target is creating value, strengthening teams, and bridging perspectives, those 6 target actions get you there. But the landmines are the things that will stop you. And, you've been a military guy. A landmine is something that blows up. And I mean, literally and figuratively, I commanded the 20th Suburban, and I've seen so many of those EOD and CBurn guys going into tough places to do tough missions. But what we're talking about here is these landmines that are stopping you from creating the value. Can I go through the landmines?
Go through the landmines. Let's go.
So the first one is certainty, right? Believing that we're right, I'm right, and other people are wrong. Let me give an example. I'm a general, right? I've been in the Army for so many years. I'm a vice president of the company now. I think I know what I'm talking about. And if I say that all the time and no one's ever listening, what happens?
Well, everybody shuts down.
Exactly. So that's the landmine of certainty, right? Inconsistency, minimizing the gap between what we say and what we do. Like, for example, being on active duty, if I say physical training is important, but you never see me, it doesn't matter. Or I say families are important or birthdays are important, but every time it's your birthday or you working. No, not only am I working, it's a difference between me working if I'm expecting somebody else to work.
Absolutely.
Right? If I said, hey, you're supposed to be off, but I'm still sending them notes, can you do this for me or can you do it? You're inconsistent, right? And it's really important. Your audio and video, I will tell you, that's probably one of the biggest things between the different generations that folks got to understand. I had another guy in my vehicle. Maybe I should do like a blog, or not a blog. I should do a podcast on the road. Maybe that's a great idea.
A vlog.
No. Leslie's traveling podcast. So whoever gets in the vehicle is on the podcast with me. I have to think about it. Vince, we got to make that happen. So this guy says, I left my basic branch. I'm like, why? Because there's another kid I met at Fort Leonard with. He said, because my S3 said, I need you to get this done today. He said, sir, can I go home? And I'll take my laptop. As soon as I put my kid to bed, I'll get it knocked out. No, you're going to stay here and I'm going to watch you do it. Think about that. And it wasn't, combat operations is something you had to do. It is that inconsistency. And the other piece,
we lost a lot of people in the military due to those situations.
Yeah. And not only in the military, we're losing a lot of people in corporate America because people have choices. COVID did a lot of things on that, but people have choices what they want to do. What you want to do is build that team so they can create the value, which in turn will help them and help the company. Yes. But people see through the inconsistency and the certainty landmines. Reactivity. So, you step on my toe and I just like go through the roof when in fact you're like, I just stepped on your toe. I didn't mean to, right? Overlooking others' experience with the same situation. But the other part about reactivity is that's why you got to not only know yourself, but know other people too, to say, hey, this person is going to react a little different than I am. And then finally, this is the most insidious landmine. It's called justification. It lies under the other ones, right? Rationalizing away any behavior instead of learning from it. Now, I made a mistake like, well, I got, and I don't have PTSD. Well, my wife might say sometimes, but I have PTSD. So this is how I'm going to act. You just got to deal with it instead of learning from it and saying, maybe you need some more sleep. Maybe you need to be thinking about this.
Or slow down a little bit.
Or slow down a little bit, take some things off your table, take vacation. That's what I asked Venedra, my wife, to do, was to say, hey, when we retire, you're the vacation person. So she's doing a good job of that. I'm like, slow down. I can't take all these vacations. Like, yes, you can. Yes, you can. So it's all good.
You sound like me. You sound like me with Cheryl. And I always tell her, she was complaining about something. She'll go, I got 2 weeks of vacation left. I said, well, take it. Do something with it. I mean, I'm saying nobody's holding you hostage. I said, so, go see the grandkids, whatever you need to do, you know. But because I think we all need to kind of bridge. And I'm going to honestly tell you, I'm so over everybody blaming COVID for everything. I think COVID exposed some of our flaws within our system, but it wasn't the overall. They were already landmines there that just were able to be surfaced during COVID.
That's right. And you know this thing about landmines? You remember when we were in the military? You didn't just go step on them, right? You didn't just go drive on them. What were you doing? You went out doing a recon for them, right?
Right.
I remember that the teams you had to go, they would sweep the roads ahead of time before you went there. That's what you got to do in business. You have to be on landmine recon. You got to look out for the certainty in yourself and others. You got to look out for the reactivity. You got to look out for the justification. You got to look at all of those things and say, hey, am I getting this right? Am I being inconsistent here? And then you got to be able to click others to help others to do the same thing.
Which helps you shape the organization.
That's right. Exactly. And the shaping is not just the leader's responsibility. It's the leader's responsibility to set the conditions, but it's at every echelon. Our job is to set the conditions for this success.
Absolutely. I mean, and you've done a great job of that in your entire career. And even if you just lay out your original story, I mean, if people could just go back and look at all the accomplishments you have, which you can go on Wikipedia, it's a laundry list.
You know why I'm on Wikipedia? You want to know why I'm on? Because the inspector general position is on Wikipedia.
Required it? Oh,
yeah. It wasn't required. So Wikipedia does all this stuff themselves, but every 3-star position has a Wikipedia page. And then when you retire, they just take it and shift it over to the other things that you're doing. So that's how I have a Wikipedia page.
All right. Hey, so guys, let me say, General Smith is a phenomenal individual. Also, sir, you need to let everybody know if they need to reach out to you, if they want to get you as a guest speaker. Where's the best place to reach you? Yeah,
you can find me on LinkedIn. That's probably the best way to hit me up. Or you can send me a note to the LLC. I think you'll put it in the system there.
I will.
My LLC email, and then you can go to leadingallthedifference.com. That's our website, and you can drop that in the chat for the team. So, can I talk about what's possible when we get this right?
Yes. Hey, that's why we're here. Hey,
okay.
This is it's your window.
So it's difference we see is dormant capital. And that's why we come up with this term called difference intelligence. You got artificial intelligence, right? You got emotional intelligence. We're saying difference intelligence is a new lexicon. You as a leader determine whether it compounds or collapses. If you think about compounding interest, if you're building on successes, that's how organizations get better. We've seen those type of units. We've seen those companies, right? Chick-fil-A, I'm not invested in Chick-fil-A because I'm not that big of a guy. And I don't even think it's a private company. So you can't invest in it. But think about what they say when they say all the difference. I mean, it's our pleasure. It's my pleasure. It sends a signal, and they're not going to argue with you if you want something specific, right? So they figured out how to take care of that dormant capital to see what those things are there. So can I talk about another presenter?
We are good. Keep rolling.
Good? Okay.
Sir.
All right. So think about the building industry. Think about how hard it is to find people to do things, right? Yeah. So I want to talk about the CEO of Taylor Morrison. Her name is Cheryl Palmer. When she took over as the CEO, it was roughly about $2 billion.
Wow.
Yeah. But they just sold for $8.5 billion to Berkshire Hathaway. So they changed from build like us to build unlike us. They are not like anybody else. Build trust, build character, customer understanding. So think about these as her viewpoints. Love the customer, no asshole rule, hire for difference.
Like
This is
that.
what those are themes, really simple, right? And so it's about how you take in that industry, which I think that's an area that we, the Department of War, can help with across all these areas with our young men and women that leave the service every year. How can we help them see what the opportunities are for them to take all the difference? Because every place they want to go to, there are opportunities there. So how can we help leverage through the transition assistance program and every entity that wants to bring them on board, because they know what they're going to get. Somebody that's going to be what? On time, understands the orders, your discipline, all those things that we know that are across the board that we need to do.
Oh, absolutely. And I think we constantly got to promote the veterans out there, and that they're getting opportunities. But your organization, both your book, it speaks on to that, and your current organization that you chair with, you also speak on that, because it's constantly, when I go to your meetings, you're talking about how to improve the lives of veterans.
That's right. Yeah, it's important. You know, our boss, one of the only reasons why I'm here at the Association of the United States Army is because of my relationship with General Bob Brown. He was my boss a couple of times. He's my boss now as the CEO of AUSA. He came to me about 7 months prior to me retiring. And then for those people that are doing transitions, not just for the military, don't wait till you're walking out of the door to try to figure out what you want to do next. Start early. Talk to people, because people are interested in you and who you are and what you want to do in the future, and they want to see you succeed. But talk to people. So he comes up to me and says, "Hey, Les, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, I'm teaching leadership at Georgia Southern," because I already knew I was going to do that. I already knew I was going to sit on a couple corporate boards, because I've been talking to people about it. He says, "Well, you want to come to AUSA?" I'm like, "Sure." But this is what sold it. I said, "Hey, we're setting up this thing called the Center for Leadership." I'm like, "What?" So AUSA is teaching leadership back to the Army, helping the Army do the things that we know work. And now we've started with corporate clients too. So when you guys come up on the net, let's talk about some leadership development opportunities. We just came back from Normandy. My goodness, I had never been.
Oh, you took your first trip to Normandy?
I have never been before. I think
it's unbelievable.
Every young person in America should take a trip to Normandy to see not only the scope and the scale and the sacrifice, but the support that happens in that part of France. You still got flags, you still got pictures, you still got all those things that are there, because they will never forget what those young men did and support. And that's really all the difference, because they came from all over the United States, all over the world, basically, with our coalition to do that mission, our allies and partners. So, we can't ever do this thing alone.
Oh, no, absolutely. And you talk great points about legacy of leadership, is that you pass on your legacy. And as you talk about the book, and all the difference, how do you look at what your legacy is going to look like, since you've now become an author?
Yeah, that's interesting. Everybody asks me that. And as you know, working on a book is hard with individuals, but with 3 people, it's really hard. My co-author Susan and Stu, and we had a ghostwriter to help us with all those things. It's all these different viewpoints, and that's the reason why we tell people we're going through all the difference process as we wrote the book. And every time we talk to a group of people, we're going to be up in Martha's Vineyard this week, and we got other things that we're going to roll out. We're going through it. It's about how do you make sure you're not speaking from a point of certainty. How do you look at knowing yourself? And the more I know about them, it's important. I got another quote I want to tell you.
Go ahead.
All right. So, General McConville, right?
Yeah, I saw it in your book.
Yeah, he saw it in the book. And so, his quote is, "Without alignment, there's no team. And without a team, you do not win." And you always heard him say, he always says, "And winning matters." Army strong, right? Sure, and winning does matter. But if you don't get your team aligned, and that's one of our target actions, you can't win. And that's another one of the leader's responsibilities. Those who lead must first serve. Everybody wants to be in charge, but the higher you go, the more you have to serve other people.
Right. I coach high school football. I know very well.
I can only imagine. How's your team going to be this year?
Oh, we're going to be solid. Once, we took over from another coach last year. He's gone. We brought a bunch of new coaches in. A lot of my friends came in. We were at another school. We were really successful. Now we're going to transition to getting that alignment, as you say, setting the conditions and putting discipline in the team. And then we played the team we lost to during the regular season. We played them in the spring game and we beat them in the first quarter. It was 30-0. So those pillars and those traits that they were lacking are coming together, which leads me to ask you this question. And this is going to be one of your hot topic questions. What leadership myth would you wish that would just disappear? What kind of leadership myth, that's a myth out there about leaders, that you think just needs to be gone? Because I think the word toxic leadership for me is a term that I'm just over the top with, because I don't believe that every leader is toxic because they don't agree with you. So that myth to me that, because you're in a leadership position, you're toxic because you say the word no, I think is bad, but that's me. So from your foxhole, what leadership myth?
That leaders aren't real people.
Yes. Great.
I think, and part of what the leader has to do, I still do it today, birthdays, anniversaries, stuff I'm doing with my family. Like when I'm on vacation somewhere, I'll put it on my calendar so folks will know. I may not put the location, but I'll put it on my calendar if I'm out of the net. They need to know. And then I'm interested in them too. So I'm asking them about their family. The first time you ask them, they're like, well, I was the boss asking this question. But when you peel the question back, you're like, he's genuine. He's actually wants to know, because if I can help their kids succeed in what they do, it helps them understand that I'm invested in them. Not only what you deliver for me at the job, I'm invested in you as a person. I'm invested in you as a leader for life. Not just for 9 to 5 or whatever the time that you're working in the military, out the military, for the organization.
Yeah, and a great point you make is because what I learned very early in my career was I had a commander named D.V. Childs. He was a captain, prior service. He used to walk around every morning and check every cubicle, talk to every person.
That's right.
Way back in the early 90s.
Back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he told me, he goes, Vince, when you become a commander, every morning before you have your cup of coffee, you go through everybody's cube, you check on every person. And I did that throughout my career. And I remember that I got to one command where most of the generals that prior to me had been ivory tower generals, which is like they'd come in the back door and nobody would ever see them. I would come through the front door and I would go through everybody's cube, and somebody goes, well, no, the generals normally don't do that. Well, you got to change the paradigm if you want success, right?
Yeah. It's funny because it's a great story. At Fort Leonard Wood, as the commanding general, I came through the front door. And, they're supposed to call the place to attention, and the guys, you got people that are there. A couple of transitioning, and I went up and told Sergeant Major, I'm like, Sergeant Major, what's going on? The guy's like, well, we're not used to folks coming up in the front door. I said, I'm training you. And the guy's like, what do you mean? I said, well, so if a 3-star or above comes up, you won't be freaking out like you are now. I'm preparing you for when the CAC commander, Command Arm Center Commander, General Brown at the time, comes to visit. Or the Chief of Staff of the Army comes, or the Secretary comes, whoever comes, we're preparing for what you want to do. So my first day, the change of command, y'all fired up. That next Monday, we have a stand-up meeting where we're supposed to go through the calendar. So before we start this discussion, I asked the guys, I say, hey, before we start, I want you to tell me who you are and then tell me what you did this past weekend. So I get to one guy. Again, I won't mention his name. He says, my name is such and such. I don't think it's important to talk about what I did this weekend. I said, okay, I'll get back to you. And I just go around to everybody else. So we have the meeting. And then at the end, I said, hey, man, and I said this in front of everybody. I said, the reason why I want to know how was your weekend, because if you had a hard weekend, if you had a kid that was sick, maybe I don't give you that task today, right? I want you to remember that I'm invested in you, right? That guy today is one of my staunch supporters and understands this thing about leadership more than ever before. I mean, another case in point. And I'm an accounting major, so I understand about
numbers.
Into your closeout, right? So the finance guys, the FY closeout, they are losing their mind. So what would I do? Not only would I go buying pieces of something else, I would go by and check and hang out with them. Like, hey, is anything I can do for you? Like, sir, really leave us alone, but we appreciate you coming by. But the point was, somebody was talking to me about that the other day. I remember when you used to come by when you have a fiscal year closeout and just to come check on us, because they would be there 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock to get it all done. Like, sir, you really don't need to be here. I said, okay, I know that. Because, you got a chief of staff, you got a deputy, all those things. Right. But I want you to know this is important to me as a leader.
From the front.
And that's right. It's not only what you say, that thing about inconsistency. It's what you do more so than what you say.
No, I agree. And, you just make sir, you make a great point. When I was out in California, we were at the training exercise out there. I tore up my right knee, my left knee, excuse me. Yeah. And stayed out there. Yeah. Okay. We're out there, and I stayed out in the field, and my soldiers kept telling me, you need to go back to the rear. But I'll say, if you're going to be out here, I'll be out here. And I stayed out there the whole 3 weeks with a busted knee. And to this day, they all remind me, and that I had knee surgery, they all remind me, so I still remember you staying out there again. But the fact that you did that showed us so much, so much that how a good leader you were. So I think sometimes we ourselves, when we remain humble, we make a bigger impression on people.
Yeah. I mean, life has a way of humbling you. I mean, I don't want our listeners to think, that's another thing that we talk about. Everybody thinks that it's all peaches and cream, right? I got kicked out of Ranger School for medical as a captain going to the 82nd. That was the most humbling thing. Well, when you go show up at 82nd, what? You walking like this, and you got your beret on, you got your stuff, and you're like, oh, where's your Ranger tab there, Captain? I didn't make it through. But what it caused me to do, it caused me to focus. For our listeners, I think if you never fail, are you trying hard enough?
Oh, I agree. Oh, I agree.
You gotta get used to failing. Not failing for failing's sake, but failing to learn from it, to recover, to become more resilient. Just like lifting weights. If you all the time you only use light weights, and I know I need to be in the gym more. If you only use light weights, you'll never grow, right? Right. If you've never challenged yourself, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, you'll never grow. So you gotta continue to challenge yourself, and that's really the book.
So if you got one action today, and you had to, you're talking to a leader, and they said, "Okay, sir, out of your book, all the difference. Yeah. If I had to do one of the actions, which one of the 6 should I do?"
Yeah, it's funny because the authors think completely. Let me give you the other 2, and then I give you mine. Susan would say is return to respect, right? And then Stu would say is igniting togetherness, or seeing the story, being curious about other people. But I would say it is knowing who you are.
Yes.
The reason why I say that, only just because I said it, because if you know who you are, I think the others kind of help you bridge across the board from those things across the board from there. You understand as the inspector general. Now, most generals are really big picture, set a vision, but in that job, you had to be detail oriented. Right. So I had to have people, the guys who were working in the investigations, assistants, and inspection sides that will look at the details and be able to say, hey, sir, this is what you really need to look at. I might look at the document, but I won't have to be able to see it to the same level of detail as them. Right. And we had a serious case that somebody brought something up and says, hey, you should look at this. I may have missed it, but I knew I needed to have people around me, and I knew I had to trust them in order to do that. And they also knew that they could speak up without getting their head cut off, like sometimes we see.
Right. Doubling the details. So you got to tell everybody about Boom. This.
Yes. The book. 14, it's here. It's called All the Difference. Those 6, and it comes out today on the QR code. You can order it today. That is Porchlight Books. You get a great discount there. Any 2 and above. So I know you're going to buy at least 2. I know Vince is going to buy a lot, but I'm looking forward to. We need to take this on the show, man. We didn't take this on the road. Me and you together.
What about Martha? What about Martha's Vineyard?
Hey, don't put it back up there. I'll talk about it. This
You skipped on that. Let's go.
This weekend, Martha's Vineyards, we're doing a book signing and a celebration. If you just happen to be up there, hit me up on LinkedIn this Friday and Saturday. You probably need to let us know like yesterday. But by the time this comes out, it will already be over. But you'll see us around America doing different things. We're gonna be in Roswell in September, Roswell, Georgia. I think September the 10th. And we're going to be all over the United States talking about difference intelligence and about making all the difference.
That's what I'm talking about. You know, sir, it's been a pleasure. And it hit you back. Definitely, if I'm up there, we will come in. I'll bring my normal equipment that I do personal interviews with. Because hey, look, I've become a master at this.
Yeah, we probably we have the same type of kit as you do, man. So unless you just need that to bring it, we probably got it here at AUSA.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, you can see I got the same kit like you do.
That's right. I'll just have to swing in and see how you're doing, and we will work through it. But it's been a pleasure having you on. Hey, team, when you guys see this, just remember, General Leslie Smith is on LinkedIn. He is definitely a keynote speaker. He'll crush it. If you need one of those keynote speakers to come in, this is the guy. Definitely get a copy of the book, which I will make sure it's down in the bottom of the show when it airs, so you can go in and click on it and then, get after. But don't forget, I got my new book out. Keep it rolling.
Keep it rolling.
Nice. Right. You get a chance, and it's for high school, it's for military, it's for first responders, it's for anybody struggling in life, to let you know that don't be a victim, be a warrior. And with that being said, sir, most blessings to you and your family, and I appreciate you coming on. Keep it rolling today.
Can I say one other thing?
You can't say one other thing. You can.
So, for your listeners, first, let's make sure we continue to look out for those veterans and those young men and women that continue to serve. But I think the key part, just like you and I have developed a relationship, it's the relationships that really matter. So take the time to make that relationship today, and not just one that can help you, but so you can help somebody else achieve their goals. And that's what you're talking about in your book. So I can't wait to see it. When's it coming out?
It's already out, sir. It's hot on the press. Yeah, on Amazon.
Okay. All right. Send it to me, and I'll go ahead and order it today. Maybe we'll do like a dueling book.
That we could do. Yeah, I'm definitely going to promote all the difference. And so it's going to be on my social media today on Instagram. I got 11,700 followers on Instagram, and it's growing. I want to appreciate that, and definitely on Facebook. So team out there, you guys check out General Leslie Smith, Retired One Each. And you know what? This man is a pillar of knowledge, and he's definitely somebody you want to get on your board. He is definitely somebody that you definitely want to have in your circle if you're building a business or trying to grow an entrepreneurship. Definitely a great mentor. And with that being said, sir, Godspeed, and thank you so much for coming on. Keep it rolling.
Thank you, sir.